Welcome to another episode of Inside the Incubator. This is our 7th episode, which means we've almost been doing this for 2 months now. And since I feel sort of like we're on a roll, we're going to talk about success because we've made it this far and haven't missed a week. So today's topic is all about success and maybe looking at success a little bit differently on some of the metrics that you use to measure success within your business. And we have a good crew with us today. So joining me, I don't know if everyone sees the same people in the same order as I do. So I'm going to introduce you guys, wave or something so people know I'm talking about you. First off, we have Annette Zinke. She is our head honcho. We all work for her under the big NASET umbrella that includes NASET Flagstaff, Chandler's Innovation Incubator, and the Maricopa Center for Entrepreneurship. And of course, NASET is the host to the Coconino Small Business Development Center, whose director is right next to Annette, and his name is Brett Carpenter, and he is with us today too. Hi, Brett.
Howdy.
Next to him, we have Dan Beach, who is the executive director of Maricopa Center for Entrepreneurship, which, by the way, I will be down there next Tuesday giving a Facebook ads training. If anyone's interested, go visit maricopainnovates.com. Is that right? Did I get that right? Awesome. And right next to him, we have our Flagstaff Director of Operations and Programs, Trish Rensink. She is actually, though, down in Maricopa in an office next to Dan somewhere. And then we have Wei Yule, who is a business coach with the Small Business Development Center. Is that right? I realized this week that I don't know really everyone's title. I just sort of call you whatever I hear you guys call yourselves. So you guys can correct me later. Anyway, let's start talking about success. First of all, is there a definition that we can all agree upon?
No. We all agree that we can't agree.
Yeah.
I'd agree that I can't agree.
So like most things in business, it is hard to find things. So as an entrepreneur, how do we advise them what success looks like if there isn't a common definition?
I think there's a specific definition. It's just different for everybody.
Okay, give me an example.
Well, somebody might be interested in making money, so success is measured financially. They meet a certain goal, then they're successful in terms of how much money they've made. And someone else might want more of a lifestyle business, so they're successful if they have, if they're doing what they enjoy, regardless of how much money they make. So
I would add to that a lot of our companies want to solve a problem. At least we want them to want to be solving a problem, and so success is actually creating a viable solution to the problem.
And there are a lot of businesses that have a social conscience, and they're interested in solving a social issue in the world, and so success for them is going to be some measure toward that goal.
And the theme that I'm hearing amongst all of these is measurements. So it is, success is whether or not you're achieving the results that you set out to achieve. But the challenge I want to put out to people is success always going to be a moving target?
Is it?
Isn't it?
I think it
I
is.
think so. I mean, for most of the entrepreneurs that I've ever met, once you achieve a certain milestone, the next one becomes visible, or at some point while you're on the road to that, not end point, but almost a waypoint, you see what you want to head for next. And we talked about a couple weeks ago the shiny object syndrome, which can be sort of a derailing of that thing when you see you're almost at one goal and you think, ooh, but look at that over there. But sometimes it can be on the same path, and so it's not necessarily a distraction.
Okay, so we also talked about pivoting. So I'm assuming pivoting also plays into this whatever elusive success formula, right? Because if you're not meeting certain criteria, then the requirement might be that you need to pivot. But what are some of the things that you have to measure? Is there anything that you have to measure?
Well, the financials are pretty standard across the
Yeah.
U.S., even worldwide, so there's a measurement financially.
Yeah, if you don't at least measure that, you're probably not going to be around. So that it's one component of it at least. So there can be other measures of success.
Do you think, though, at times, so I get, we're in business. Business is business. Business is an exchange of something valuable for some sort of compensation. So you have to track the financials. But when a business first starts, the bottom line is probably not the right color. They want it to be more or whatever. So as long as you're going in the right direction, is that a good indication that your business is doing well?
I don't think that's the only indication, though. So profitability is one measure for sure. Moving toward profitability could be, but gaining traction is another slice of that. And sometimes you can get farther into the red while you're gaining traction. And you just have to know. And this is why, again, financials are important, because you can project how far into the red you get while you're gaining momentum, so that you know your progress is moving in the right direction, even if the financial metrics are not moving toward the black, if that makes any sense. There are a lot of companies, I mean, Amazon took greater than 15 years, I want to say it was close to 20 years, to get 4 consecutive quarters in the black. Are they a successful company? And for the 19 years prior to that, were they?
One would think.
But there were people who argued they weren't.
Yeah.
Right. Except that most people who talk about entrepreneurship and scaling truly innovative companies don't say Amazon wasn't successful in their first 15 plus years. In their first 5 years, they were still trying to figure out their business model. But I mean, I think you have to know what you're aiming for and how long it's going to take to get there, so that you can set up the appropriate milestones. And I kind of want to pick on Trish in a good way, because Trish has been really good at finding incremental milestones that are beyond or that are sort of between here and the ultimate destination. And when I hear her talk to companies about, okay, so you need to hit, 2 million in sales by year X. What does that mean in your first year? What does that mean in your first 6 months? What does that mean monthly? What does that mean daily? What kind of work do you have to do to get to that point? And so if you know the ultimate destination, breaking that down into smaller chunks, I think helps you set good things to measure that are a little bit more immediate than the bottom line. Can you talk about that some more, Trish?
She's like, uh-oh.
Well, I hadn't even thought about that, so I'm glad you mentioned it. But the key piece of what you were talking about, and everybody talking about financials, is the most consistent, universally accepted measurement of success. But oftentimes people don't understand what those financials are telling them, and they also don't know how they got to what the P&L or balance sheet is telling them. So those are a couple of major issues. One, not understanding the data that you have in front of you, and 2, not understanding how you got there. So one of the things that Dan and I have spent a number of time coaching clients on over the years is setting out leading metrics and lagging metrics. So a P&L is going to be lagging metrics. It tells you the results of your efforts. But then there's leading metrics where you define, here's what I have to do in order to get these particular results. So if I want to produce X amount of money over the year and I'm running a retail shop, how much do I need to be bringing in on a daily basis, a weekly basis, and what are the activities that I'm doing to drive that? So yeah, it's breaking it down. It's like any big goal. If you look at the whole thing, it's it's daunting. It's overwhelming. So you have to break it down into manageable parts.
I agree 100% with that. Who's going to say something?
A lot of the leading metrics, though, aren't financial. In fact, I think that some of the best ones aren't financial. I mean, go back to Trisha's retail store. One of the key leading metrics is how many customers walk in the door, and that's not financial particularly. It's just a count, and because getting a certain number of clients in the door will ultimately mean a certain amount of dollars every day, which will mean so many dollars in a year. But the non-financial metric is as customer count, which is a very important number for retail businesses.
Yeah, and with digital businesses, it's user base, and often really in some sort of online subscription or something like that, they're trying to build user base so they can upsell other services. So, it may take a while to get to real revenue.
So that was actually the question I was leading into. I'm really glad you brought that up because I wonder if a lot of entrepreneurs, because money seems to be a common theme for them, if they're putting too much emphasis on the financials to base their success off of, or not enough, I guess, is the question. I just wonder if they focus so much on trying to make money because, you start a business, you're bootstrapping, you're probably putting all of your extra pennies into it, so money is a driver for you because you want to get money back. But are they so focused on that they're letting other key metrics slide?
I think that's well, it can go both ways. I think some of our clients are often very just focused on the money, and they kind of forget about their customers, and they forget about some other important things that will actually, in the long run, lead to more money. But we have a lot that haven't even considered the money when they start too. They either just want to do something that they enjoy, or they just want to do good in the community. And that's great that they want to do good in the community, but often they don't think of that they have to generate enough money to be profitable enough to do good in the community too.
I would kind of agree with that. I think it's far more common for entrepreneurs to ignore the money, and ignore might be the right word, but I think run away afraid of the money might be a better way to describe it.
Yeah.
Rather than measuring it. So they look at the bottom line, and it's either red or black, but there's no analysis involved there. And it's intimidating and it's frightening, and even keeping track of it is a little bit scary for people. And so making it easier, and Trish said something a couple minutes ago about knowing what that information is telling you. Super important, and it's not rocket science. It's in fact accounting. And you can find people who can give you that information, and if you're lucky, you can put it into a format that helps you make good decisions with it. And maybe not even lucky, if you go ask somebody for help, like you go to the SBDC, you come to NASA, you go to MCE, you go to Innovations, and say, I know this is important, but I don't exactly know why. Can you help me figure out what to measure?
Well, and I see a lot of clients who I get them when they're in financial trouble because they've got cash flow issues. But if they had even looked and started to understand their financials, they would have recognized that's coming and would have started taking measures to fix that long before they got there.
Is that common, you guys?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So people seek help almost when it's too late?
Generally, yes. Because they haven't either, learned, or they haven't asked for help or whatever. I had a client that had been in business 20 years, and they said, we don't know what's going on with our company until it's tax time and we have to gather up everything and give it to our accountant.
Yeah.
So I'm like, how are you still here?
Yeah, think about it. You work a job. You work a job where you don't find out how much money you made for a year and a half later.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know how you do that. It's like, well, there's still money in the account. We must be here.
Yeah. Some people succeed in spite of themselves.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, if we're talking about success and how to measure it, you have to know what's important to you. Is it just that you can pay all your bills and you don't have to pay attention to the financials except for once every year? Okay, because if that's not super important to you, then that may be acceptable. Most people who are in business want to grow the business, want to make more money, want to, build on their quality of life. And so sort of getting over the difficult mental hurdle of having to keep track of that stuff on a regular basis when it's not something that people are really comfortable with, it goes a long way. And once you get over the discomfort of that and hire a bookkeeper or understand what's important about that information, it's really not as painful as it feels like it is before you've done it.
Well, you'll be glad to know that before they come to you because they're in financial trouble, they come to me so that I can give them marketing tips to get out of financial trouble, and then they come to you.
Well, and that's a thing to measure, though. Being careful of, if you think you can sell your way out of a hole unless you don't have the right pricing structure.
Yeah.
And so there are lots of different ways to measure profitability and your break-even point and, your inventory turns and your cash flow and things that, this is turning into a conversation on financial metrics, and I think that we should probably divert to other kinds of metrics, but there are all kinds of ways to slice that information that are useful too.
Well, that was going to be my next question. So if somebody comes into you and they're sort of developing their business plan, right? They're trying to create their business model, whatever the case may be, how do you talk to them about success? Because I can't be just all about the numbers, right?
It brings in the triple or the double bottom line and the triple bottom line as well. Like Brett said, we have a lot of clients that come in and they just want to do good, but they need money to do that, obviously. But they don't want to measure their success just in monetary terms. So obviously the movement is to the double bottom line, and now I'm even seeing a lot more of the triple bottom line.
Do you want to explain that for people who might
not know?
The bottom
line, obviously, how much money you make. The double bottom line then incorporates social values. So internally, it's things like how can you reduce turnover because you're treating your employees well, and you're paying them well, and you're giving them good benefits. They don't want to leave. And how diverse is your workforce? Are you inclusive of everybody? And then externally, what are you doing for your community and extra things for your customers? So there's a social aspect to the bottom line. The difficulty is obviously measuring that. And the triple bottom line then adds in environmental issues as well. How much electricity we're using, can you save water, interior, externally, it's how many emissions are you putting into the environment, what have you. So it's really trying to put value on something other than money. But again, the trick is trying to measure that. At the end of the day, that's why it's not more popular, I think.
Are you seeing more of a trend in a multifaceted success approach that people are taking?
I'm only getting every few words on everybody, so I'm not sure what you said.
I just said, are you seeing a trend that are moving more towards trying to account for like the double bottom line or triple bottom line? Are you seeing more of a trend in that direction?
With the larger companies, yes. Smaller companies just aren't in a position to do that. And they might have one employee, so how diverse can that be?
I've had probably one person a week come in and talk about how they want to start a nonprofit, and really what they're saying is I want to do good in my community. And sometimes I talk them out of it. I start off with why. Why a nonprofit?
Do they have good whys?
Sometimes. I talked to an interesting client this week who basically will probably set up both. She's got potential for a very good online retail business that will make her a lot of money. She does have a mission, so she's going to create a nonprofit to further the mission, and probably a lot of the funding for her nonprofit will come from her profit business. So she'll be able to advertise that X number of dollars from the sale of this product, actually supports this similar-based nonprofit.
Awesome.
What
Yeah.
about, are you seeing more people starting benefit corps, or now there's another kind of entity called the Public Benefit Corporation? The Kickstarter company is this, and it puts in sort of enforceable legal terms the social benefit obligation of the company, the B Corp. So, it's sort of this good-hearted for-profit company, and the incorporation itself actually requires the good-hearted nature of it. And so it sort of changes the focus. Yes, it's okay for us to make money. Yes, it's okay for the founders and the owners of the company to make money by doing good things in the world, as opposed to the nonprofit where you reinvest only into the mission and you don't share the profit with the owners because there aren't owners. Have you seen more requests for that? I've seen bigger companies looking at that, and just an article recently on Kickstarter and being one of the early first public benefit corporations.
Yeah,
And Arizona is one of the top B Corp state.
Corps. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One of the leaders is one of the forefront, or people in the forefront is actually in Arizona. But it seems a little complex for a small business.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what we see. We see a lot of people that would be in alignment with something like that from the way they want to approach it. They don't even know that it exists, for one thing. So they just come in and say, oh, I want to start a nonprofit. And, like a lot of people have said within this conversation, they just want to have a social bottom line, and they don't even know what a B Corp is. And a lot of people don't seem to understand, if you start a nonprofit, it's not like automatically people are going to grant you money. That there's a fallacy there. They say, like, oh, I'm going to start a nonprofit and everybody will give me money. It's like, no, they won't necessarily.
Well, I think it's a case also of, and this goes back to a conversation that Annette and I were having this morning, and that is, I believe in general people are starting businesses because they want to do the right thing. They think they have something to offer that can make life better for people. And whether that be, new medication, medical device, diet aids, or simply a great sandwich. Most people who are starting businesses are trying to make the world a better place through their business. Getting back to success, one of the things that we've done for multiple businesses is helping them identify what those success factors are, in addition to the financials. So it's going to be, how many people have you touched? It's going to be, what kinds of feedback are you getting from your customers? For a business that is actually in business versus a startup, we are always going to be encouraging them to put in place a dashboard. So what are going to be the 5 to 8 key measurements that will tell you that you are being successful? And it's getting them to think through the various facets of the business to identify those. So it's not just going to be revenues and COGS and profit margin. It's going to be a variety of things that will be indicators of success.
So do you guys think that success is more of a mindset thing? Do you think your mindset plays into how you view the success of your business?
Sure. I think, yeah, it really depends where you're coming from. I think the mindset you take to it. So yeah, I think it plays very heavily into it. Depending, if your mindset is all about making money, you're gonna view success one way. If your mindset is all about making your clients happy, you're gonna view success really differently.
Well, and I also think of it even in a little bit more generic terms. Like I think people that have a positive mindset see success in a broader fashion, right? They're gonna look across the board and they're gonna find the areas in which they're successful because that's their natural thinking process. Whereas those people with negative mindsets may look at success very narrowly. They didn't meet this one thing, so therefore they're not successful because it's how they think. I just don't know if that's valid, if it's something that can be overcome, if it is a problem.
I think a lot of it has to do with what your goals are. I'm thinking of when we ran the retail manufacturing business. My goal, so my measurement of success was growth. And so looking at opening stores in Phoenix and moving to Vegas and then Los Angeles, etc. But then the recession hit and that became not possible. But in hindsight, if I'd have seen success as being able to run this, enjoyable store here in Flagstaff and just enjoy kind of the simple life, if that had been my goal, then I would have been successful and ostensibly we could still have the company.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can see where you're coming from there. So we have only a few minutes left, and I sort of wanted to get your guys' individual interpretations of what you consider successful. Like, what do you deem as a successful day, as a successful project? What are your measurements for your own personal success? Who wants to go first?
I'll start out, and I wanted to just real quickly comment on the last question that was asked, and I do believe that most people look at their own self-fulfillment as a measure of success. My measure of success is, am I getting done the things that I need to get done, and can I sleep well at night because I knew that I spent my day doing the right thing. And my absolute favorite measurement of success is the country that measures gross national happiness.
Love that. I want to move there. Wait, how do you measure success?
Again, in my position, it's two ways. There's the kind of the banal, did I get everything done I needed to do checklist, and if I can get through that, I feel successful. But the greater feeling of success is working with a company that is either working with a problem or trying to do a certain item, and we can achieve that or get them on the road to that achievement.
Cool. Dan?
For me, it's how many clients walked in the door and we were able to help them every day, and how much help were we able to give them. Sometimes it's incredibly tangible. We had a lady walk in today and say, I'm dying in 2 months, help me transition to my business. Like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. I think we helped her.
Yeah, and you feel good after that, right? You can help someone get things in place. That's great.
Yeah.
Brett?
Wow, how do I follow that? I think I'm going to probably echo a lot of what both Trish, Wade, and Dan said. Is that we all have these people that walk in every day and that we're trying to help, and if we feel like we helped them and that they came away from that meeting or experience or a series of meetings with a tangible business, or sometimes made the decision not to start the business because they would have thrown away $50,000 at it and it wouldn't have worked. Yeah. So even that, the right decision to me is a successful outcome. And for me personally, I think it's how much more can we help more people in the community? What more can we bring to them? And if I have something that somebody comes to a workshop or whatever and they feel like they got something out of it, then That's success to me too. Or I create a discussion about things that help them.
Yeah, I'm with you on the whole right decision. That's how at the end of every day I sort of review my day and then I plan my next day. And if I've made good decisions, I feel good about my day. And if I made decisions I may have changed, then I try to correct it going into the next day. I tend not to measure myself by to-do lists because a lot of times my to-do list goes by the wayside because something else has come up. And if I measure by my check marks, I will fail often. So I just want to know that I'm making the right decisions and putting things in the right priority and moving the needle a little bit in one direction, and stop putting so much stress on myself to be perfect, because I used to have a huge perfection complex. I know that's probably hard to believe, but so that's me. Any last words before we wrap up?
Go be successful.
Yeah, everyone, figure out what it means to you and go be it. Okay, so thanks, you guys. I actually love this topic of success because I think success gets sort of a bad rap a lot of times. You either are successful or a failure, and I think it's not quite that black and white. I think there's a whole lot of gray. So thanks for talking with me, and another great episode here. We will, of course, be back next week at 4:30 p.m. local time. Any topic suggestions before we go for next week? Then I'm going to ask out in the newsletter, and we'll see what we get back, and I'll surprise you. So take care, you guys. Have a nice rest of your week and weekend, and we'll see you back here next Wednesday. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.